you?
Evening, just doing fine yourself?
Well,
You have some folks here with you? Hello. Get them all gathered in here.
Jouett! Jouett!
Well, hello Ruth. How you doing?
I'm so glad to be back home. I took a trip across the country on train, and if you ever want to see this beautiful country, that's the way to go. It's on the train. But every town that I went to, and I told them where I was from, they said, "Do you know Jouett Meekin?" And I said, "Do I know Jouett Meekin?" Let me tell you, I can tell you some stories, but I can't tell you all of them. But he is a wonderful man. You're still famous all over the country. And so, anyway, I wanted to let you know I was back in town, and I want to hear your story because I just love to hear it over and over and over again.
Oh, let's see if I can remember them all. It's 1941. I can remember. They can remember me back that far.
Oh, they do. You may not be remembering it, but they remember.
Well, it does kind of bring back. Just last week, I was over playing in the old timers game over Louisville, and I found at 74, I still have just a little bit of fire left in this old right arm. Well, I had a lot of fun. Maybe some of y'all were over there. Had a lot of family, friends over there, and kind of cheering us on, and it kind of made you kind of feel like you want to give it a y'all. It kind of reminds me back when I played for New York. You know, the New York Giants. Well, that was a time ago, but irregardless, I remember them fans. Boy, they'd hoop and holler, and they'd carry on. And they just want you almost forget about the old pain you had in your right arm at that time. I was what you call a side. Only had one pitch. It was a fast pitch, but I was the first one they said ever throw a fast pitch in the National League. But irregardless, you see, they had a way of kind of nicknaming you, kind of picking up a certain trait that you had. One of the traits that they picked up on when I was throwing, I figured on the batter, if I get the first couple pitches real close to his head or parts of his body, he'd begin to wonder where the ball was coming at and not worry about so much about hitting it. Well, they nicknamed me the headhunter. Well, I wasn't real proud of that one. But one I did kind of like was me and Amos Rusi. We was a 1-2 ultimate pitching machine up there. We pitched for 30 days, every other day, straight.
That's what happened to his arm.
Yeah, I did kind of throw my arm out there a little bit, but at that time, they picked up and they began to call us the Iron Twins. I kind of like that one. I like that. But irregardless, me and Amos, and there's one other fella, we were considered the hardest hurlers in the National League. The other fellow's name was Cyclone. Y'all know him. Cy Young. It was Cy Young, Russie, and me. We were the three of the hardest hurlers there was. Now, because we were so hard at throwing, a couple things changed in baseball. One thing changed, they moved our pitcher's box back from 50 feet to 60 feet 6 inches. Moved it back a little ways. I guess kind of give them a little bit of thought about where that ball was coming to them, but just give us an opportunity to throw a ball that much harder. So, being one of the three hardest hurlers, that was kind of neat. Now, the game of baseball's changed. Today we're called pitchers. Back then it was called hurlers. Let's see, what else it changed? Well, of course, it changed the 50 feet to 60 feet 6 inches, and it changed the design of our bats so much. Of course, this is what we used in the 1800s, mid to late 1800s. So things have changed in baseball somewhat. I guess a couple things that I kind of had to my credit was I pitched the first 2 games of the 1994 Temple Cup. Now, the Temple Cup, that's also changed. Today it's called the
World Series.
But, back then it was called Temple Cup. I pitched the first 2 games. Brucey pitched the last 2 games, 4-1 shutout. So we took the lead that year of the Temple Cup. That was pretty nice. Well, another thing that kind of happened that year, in July 4th of '94, I was the only only pitcher ever hit 3 triples in one game. That record still holds today. No other pitchers ever hit 3 triples in one game. So I kind of like that one too. One that kind of won me a little bit of a problem was, as I told you, I kind of throw the ball just a little close. In '94, I was credited for in the National League of having 22 wild pitches, leader in the National League. It wasn't wild; it was just well placed. That's all. Well, what other thing did happen back about that time was I come up against an old boy. It's the 9th inning. Guy's name was Jimmy Ryan. Jimmy Ryan was a batter. I figured if he got a hold of that ball, that game was going to be different. So I figured I could throw him out for sure. So I did an intentional walk. First one's ever been done in history. Well, kind of upsets the people, but I knew the old boy coming up next. I said, I get him out. And I did. The game was over. That's all it was to it. So there's lots of things that happened in baseball in my life. It kind of changed things. One thing that did happen, I think it was '99. You see, Pittsburgh Pirates and New York Giants still had a thing going on against each other. And Boston was playing Pittsburgh that year for the Temple Cup. So they traded me off to Boston to try to help them out. Well, that upset New York fans, something terrible. Thought they was going to go ahead and skin all the management in New York alive. They traded me for about $3,500, which I guess is a fair amount of money. But for me, all the thing it did was just help me get on my road back to this town I love. This little river town has got a lot of spirit here. I like that. Well, when I came back here, I went to work for the fire department. I worked for the fire department until about 35. And I found out we just didn't fight fires. The thing that really struck in my mind one time was when the cyclone come through at 17. We was out here scurrying around, the fire department was, everybody was. It cut a path through this river town, about a half mile wide and 3 miles long. We had about 45 people actually lost their lives during that time. But this wind and spirit they have here, it was something else. It was like they just got up, dusted the bridges off, and they got to build this town right back. That's the kind of wind and spirit I like. But I think it was kind of like this. It was kind of like a 9th inning, bases loaded, Casey's at the bat. That's the kind of wind and spirit we have here. And I like it about this little town. I'm glad to be back here. And as you head on down the path here tonight, I'm sure you're going to find a few other folks that probably still have the same wind and spirit that we talk about here. Thank you all so much for stopping by.
Thank you.